Kaedwen. Kaedwen is the second largest kingdom on the continent. The only kingdom that's bigger isn't even really a kingdom. It's the Empire of Nilfgaard. Kaedwen is located between two mountain ranges. To the west, there are the Kestrel Mountains, which separate the kingdom from Redania, and to the east, there are the Blue Mountains. What's beyond the Blue Mountains isn't really all that clear, except that at some point there will be the Fairy Mountains, and you end up in Hackland and Seracania at some point. To the north, Kaedwen is separated from the far north by the Dragon Mountains, and to the south, their border is somewhere around the Pontar Valley. As you may have noticed, all these borders provide the land with a lot of natural protection from other kingdoms. However, not everyone benefited from these borders, as the land had belonged to humans at first. This land used to be the home of many elves. However, after the humans arrived on the continent, they drove them away, but many still lived in Kaedwen. When humans first started to train new mages, they requested the help of the elves at Loch Muin, and the elves helped them. This, however, didn't last long, as within a few decades, Marshal Milan Rupernek of Redania came in with his army and massacred all the elves in Loch Muin and Est Hamlet. As this land no longer had any rulers, Redania took over, and a man named Viduka was appointed to keep an eye on the region. Viduka was born into a family of military commanders that had been conquering Redania's eastern front. His family at some point started to see themselves as princes, as they claimed to be of royal blood. When Viduka was searching for a place to settle down in his new land, he came upon a unicorn. He followed this unicorn. Once the unicorn had reached its destination, towards which it had led Viduka, he vanished. It was here, in this place, where Viduka founded the seat from which he ruled, Ard Craig, which is Elvish for high rock. He also started using the unicorn as his emblem. But Viduka wasn't the king, and luckily for him, he got lucky. As the original kingdom of Redania was at that time divided into many smaller lands controlled by vassals of King Radovid I, the king decided it was time to unite his lands once again, leading to him becoming the first king of a united Redania. However, not everyone wants to rejoin. This also included Viduka, who would much rather become king himself. As his land didn't have a name yet, he used the elven name for the land, Kaedwen, which is said to mean white forest. But Kaedwen was not yet saved. Redania wasn't happy that he had kind of stolen their land, and therefore they had to prepare for war. Viduka decided to make a deal with the Queen of Aedirn at the time, Edirene. In exchange for her help, he would give her the most southern region of Kaedwen, the loremark. The two kingdoms proved that they could deal with Redania, as they both grew in size. The borders of Kaedwen expanded until they had reached a point at which they were easily defendable. Kaedwen and King Viduka had gotten what they wanted, but at a price, as they gave the loremark, later known as Upper Aedirn, to the kingdom of Aedirn. In 1140, Kaedwen and Redania helped each other in an attempt to get more land. They both had their eyes set on Kovir and Povis. Kaedwen and Redania, however, lost this war, and the Kaedwenic king Benda eventually signed the first Treaty of Lan Exeter. This resulted in the loss of Caingorn and Malior for Kaedwen. Kaedwen had settled itself into the form in which it's known during the events in the books and the games. But one bit of conflict remains over centuries: the loremark, Upper Aedirn. The two kingdoms fought several times over this piece of land, and Kaedwen still wanted it back. But why did Kaedwen want it back? Well, Kaedwen has a lot of trees and a few vineyards that are barely able to operate. They didn't have much fertile land, and this region was very fertile and had a lot of resources in the ground, like silver. To make this more spoiler friendly, I'll put a time on the screen to which you can skip to avoid some spoilers from the books and games. This is the spoiler time. During the First Northern War, Kaedwen had their armies at the ready and helped to fight for the north at the Battle of Southern Hill. A few years later, once the Second Northern War broke out, Nilfgaard made their way across Aedirn within a short amount of time. As a result, Kaedwen had to fight for its borders against Nilfgaard. But they didn't see it as all bad, as when Aedirn was attacked by Nilfgaard from the south, Kaedwen took their opportunity and attacked Aedirn from the north, taking the loremark back into their borders. The war seemed to be going calmly for Kaedwen. As Kaedwen had taken the loremark, they moved their borders south to a river, protecting the Pontar Valley. They also had some protection against Nilfgaard because of this. Because Kaedwen had taken the loremark, Ardo Abdahi wasn't able to push further, and he couldn't attack Temeria from the right flank, as was the initial idea. As the war went on, and Nilfgaard's central army, not getting the help they needed from the west and eastern armies, was eventually defeated. This led to an insurgence of courage, and for once, Henselt and Demavend worked together and drove the eastern army back. Because Ardo Abdahi had pushed towards the Kaedweni border, he had lost all the protection and the diversion that the central army group offered, as they were gone. He was forced to retreat back south, as he didn't know what he should do, and he was far too exposed all the way up north there. As Nilfgaard eventually stopped retreating around the city in Aldersburg in Aedirn, Kaedwen and Aedirn started to prepare for a siege on the city. This eventually proved not necessary, as suddenly Ardo Abdahi had died. Kaedwen and Aedirn defeated the army, and the remaining few Nilfgaardian soldiers fled back south, through Lyria, where the Queen Meve was fighting with her guerrilla warfare. The Kaedweni army was on the heels of the Nilfgaardians. They chased them all the way back to the Yaruga River. As the war came to an end, Henselt of Kaedwen was forced to give Aedirn the loremark back. Henselt wasn't happy with this, and he would keep fighting Aedirn over this piece of land. His final attempt can be seen in The Witcher 2. Kaedwen was less fortunate in The Witcher 3, as between the second and third game, Redania had taken over Kaedwen to protect their eastern border and provide a bigger force against Nilfgaard. During this time, Kaedwen was kind of in disarray after what happened with their king, as the king either died in The Witcher 2 or died fighting Redania. So Henselt's just gone, goodbye Henselt. Not all of Kaedwen was under Redanian control, as Nilfgaard managed to conquer the southern parts of Kaedwen, including Banard. As the fate of the north is up to the player's choice in The Witcher 3, I will go further in time into the future. As part of Ithlinne's prophecy, she talked about the War of the Two Unicorns. This war would be fought between two princes from the Kaedweni royal family, between 1309 and 1318. The thing to keep in mind with this is that the War of the Two Unicorns are most likely two descendants that are bastards from Henselt, or that are the children of the bastards of Henselt. As Henselt himself didn't have any successors, but he had plenty bastards, as he described it. So, now that the spoiler section is done, let's talk a bit more about the land itself. Kaedwen has multiple points of interest spread across the land. These include cities, fortresses, and ruins. Among the most notable cities in Kaedwen are of course the capital, Ardcaraic, the city that is home to the school for male mages, Banard, the city of Ban Glen, which was renowned for its cavalry, and there's Logmuin, which is probably the oldest city in the kingdom, but I'm not sure. Then there are some cities and villages in the kingdom, but most of these, like Divon, don't have anything that's notable about them. As I've talked about Kaedwen and their warfare in context of their history, let's talk about the army which they used to defend themselves and conquer land from others. The most important parts of the Kaedweni army were the Dun Banner, a group of light cavalry from the city of Ban Glen. They were used by Kaedwen in almost every battle they fought, and their bright uniforms and beaver hats brought fear to the hearts of their enemies. Battle after battle, the Dun Banner were victorious, until they were decimated by Sabrina Glavisic, after which they would remain a part of the past, with only a few men remaining. The other part of the army that we know of is an armored banner from Bonnard. This banner is often used to mock the school for the mages in the city, by stating that the city is more proud of its armored banner than the mages that are taught there. This largely has to do with the fact that the mages are not confined to the school like in Aretusa, so they can kind of roam around and mess with the entire city. Once Henselt became king, he started to make some changes to his army to try and improve their effectiveness. As he often said, 2 heads are better than 1, and 3 even better still. And so he ordered his troops to march in groups of 3, fighting next to each other. Once he first started, his generals were skeptical of this strategy. This, however, all changed once they saw the results. There is one bit of information that we also know about the Kaedweni army. Those are their secret service. This kind of links in with Bonnard, as the Kaedweni secret service recruits the students that got expelled from the school. They are then trained to be spies or assassins working for Kaedwen. Among the mages that were recruited is Riens, who you might know as one of the sidekicks of the main villain from the books. As this video is about Kaedwen, there is one topic that I have to talk about: the Scoia'tael. Out of all the kingdoms in the north, Kaedwen is perhaps the one that had to deal with Scoia'tael the most. As the kingdom was one of the latest lands to be taken from the Elves, there were still a number of them in the forests and mountains to the east. Kaedwen was under constant attack by the Elves. Some of them wanted vengeance for Elorin and her Elves. As a result from the Scoia'tael attacks, the Kaedweni lost all their trust for the elder races. Not only that, but they even started to lose trust in each other. One of the examples of the lack of trust that Henselt had in non-humans can be seen in Blood of Elves. Around 1265, Jarpen Sigrin and his band of dwarves were working for the king. Henselt, however, wanted to test their loyalty, and to do this, he had his soldiers tip off the Scoia'tael about the transport, resulting in them attacking the dwarves, proving that some didn't work for the Scoia'tael. One of the events that shows the tension between Kaedwen and the non-humans also happened right after the previous events, when a group of Scoia'tael commandos had massacred the fortress Leda, and as retribution, the inhabitants of Ardcarreg killed about 400 non-humans in the city, most of whom had nothing to do with the Scoia'tael. Ever since humans had taken the land from the Elves, they have been at odds with each other, and it doesn't seem like this will change, until there are either no more Elves or no more humans in Kaedwen. As this is the Witcher universe, and I'm talking about Kaedwen, there's one thing I'll have to talk about: Kaer Morhen. I won't go into too much detail here about the school for the Witchers, however I do want to mention that the school was once accepted by the kingdom. It's kind of provided protection against monsters, as a Witcher going to and from the castle would have to go through Kaedwen, which means more Witchers in Kaedwen, which means less monsters in Kaedwen. This of course all changed, and at some point the castle was stormed by what was most likely also have been Kaedweni people. So go Kaedwen, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Kaedwen is a kingdom of great importance in the north due to its military, and it's not afraid to use it against enemies, be it neighbors, Elves or Nilfgaard. That was it for Kaedwen. I'm sorry this video was done later than expected, there was some other stuff that had to be prioritized. But as always, if you have any thoughts, suggestions for other videos, I would like to hear them. Till the next video. Bye.